So this tutorial here, I'm going to show you a cool little trick that you can do that will actually facilitate some animation that you could do. We're going to be using a wiring, our wire parameters to do this. And basically what we're going to do is I'm going to use a dummy here. And this dummy, the position of this dummy on the z-axis is actually going to drive the multiplier of our light sources that are going to be inside of these lanterns here, and then the multiplier of the multiplier of the light source is actually going to then in turn drive the self-illumination of these glass panels. So if I were to go to my layers real quick and I'll bring my lanterns out, so we see we've got these glass panels inside of here that are going to be illuminated when the lights are turned on or off. So let's go ahead and start this so we can see kind of a little bit more clearly exactly what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to set this process up rather simply. The first thing that I'm going to do is we're going to use the z coordinates here, so I'm going to go ahead and set this back to 0. Okay, so it's going to start off at 0, and our light source I'm going to go ahead and get set up. I'm going to use the decay inverse and have it at 100. And if I were to, so this guy, when it moves up, and I'm going to use 100, so when it gets to 100, the light itself is going to be at a multiplier of 1, and when this is down at 0, our light is going to be at 0, so off, and then it's in turn going to drive the illumination of this material here. So let's go ahead and see how this is going to work. So I selected my dummy, right click, go wire parameters. Okay, I'm going to wire the z position of this object to our light source. But the thing here is that what I want to do is, as it stands right now, I can move this thing up to 500. I can move it anywhere, up and down. So what I want to do instead is I want to limit this object to where the brightest or the highest it can go is 100 and the lowest it can go is 0. So I'm going to go to our motion panel, and I'm going to, under our transform position, I'm going to open this up, and on the Z position I'll click on this and I'll come here to assign controller, and I'm going to assign a float limit controller, and what I'm going to say is I'm going to limit it to only go to 100, and the lower limit is going to be 0. So as we can see now, the highest it goes is 100 and the lowest it goes is 0. Now I can continue moving, and you see that my mouse is recording 213, 235 down there on the Z coordinates down here, but when we let off, we see the object only went to 100. Same thing going down, it only goes to 0. So what we're going to do now, so we have this set up, so now we're going to go ahead and wire this up to our lights. So I'm going to do the same thing again, but now that we have clarified how we're going to limit our Z position. So Z position, and here we're going to pick the first one. Position, Z position, limited controller, Bezier float, which I know is off screen for you guys, but the first one, not the limits. So pick the first one, and now we see our dashed line, so we'll go ahead and pick it to our light, and we see that we want our limited Z position to drive the object OmniLight's multiplier. This opens our list, so we can see that the limited controller Bezier float, for the Z position we want to drive the multiplier, so we're going to use the one-way connection. So this is going to drive the multiplier. Okay, and what's going to happen now, I'm going to go ahead and just minimize this, is I move this up, and that's right, that's what I didn't do. So Bezier float is going to one way drive this, and then we got to hit connect. Okay, so as soon as I hit connect, I see there's a major change here, and notice my object is, my helper here, my dummy here is at 100, and the multiplier for my light is at 100. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and tell this to it's going to be driven by the limited controller, and I'm going to hit / for divide by 100, hit update, and as we see now, the multiplier is 1, so it goes down to 0, and it goes up to 1. Okay, so now I want the multiplier to drive the illumination of this object, this object's material. So we'll do the same thing. We're going to wire the object's multiplier to drive, and we'll click on this, the O1 default material self-illumination value. Okay, so we get another one here that says the OmniLight's multiplier is going to drive the self-illumination, so we want to do another one-way connection. We'll hit connect. Okay, so if I open my material editor, and let's move this over here, let's pick on our dummy. We'll pull this down, and we see the self-illumination value went down to 0. And as this starts to raise, so here we're at 50. So let's take a look. And our multiplier is basically 0.5, so it's pretty close. So we raise this, and then right when it hits its top peak, the self-illumination values peaked out at 100. Our object, our light OmniSource is peaked out at 1. And just like that, we see that this guy is driving both the light and the material for the glass. So what we'd have to do now is I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to move it right inside like so, and let's get that right there in the middle. Okay, and now I'm going to hold shift and put another one there, and I'm going to instance it so that it's this way I don't have to rewire anything. So I just hit OK, and we'll put that right there. Okay, so now we're going to have 4 instances. Okay, so what this is going to look like, do a quick render. Okay, so there is our scene lit. The next thing that I want to do is I want to tell this light to exclude the glass pieces. So I'll select on any of the lights. We see their instances, so we hit exclude, and I've got these 4 glasses that I'm going to go ahead and select on, and hit this arrow to add them to the exclude from, illumination, and shadow casting, both at the same time. So all 4 of those. Okay, so now our OmniLight is ignoring the glass altogether as far as illuminating and casting shadows from it, and it is being driven obviously by our little controller here. Okay, so if I bring the rest of my lanterns out, we see we come down really low, and let's do a short render. Okay, so we can see that the lights are down low and our material is down low, and then obviously it's off completely, and raise it up brightness up as high as it can go. Okay, so I can see we're getting some shadow casting from our lantern here, and I'll just go into one of the lights, and under my, since I'm using shadow map, I'll just come down to my shadow map parameters, and sample range, it's already up at 30. Guess we could leave it there, maybe send it up even higher. And what that should do is to blur out this a little bit more, just a little bit softer. But anyway, the point there is this little setup that we have right here, and it's useful for you know, could be useful for many things. Could be that, you know, just for lighting an overall scene. Or if we wanted to animate a sequence where, you know, a character walks in and then the lights come on, you know, it's a little simple process here, just kind of sets things up for us. Or if we wanted to actually animate something like this, where the lights are going on and off, on and off, on and off, over time, it's easier to do it here. Because then what we could do is, let's go and see. Upper limit. Actually, what I'll do is I'm going to create another dummy, and this guy I'm going to have our original one linked to this one. Oops, and that broke our connection, so we're not going to do that. So never mind. I was going to throw a noise on it, but that would obviously cancel over our Z position being linked to a limited controller, so that's not going to work. So anyway, I hope that you get something out of this and that you find it useful. I know that I think it's pretty cool, if nothing else, having this one object control both the light and the material, and obviously you can continue going on, then have in turn the material self-illumination drive another aspect. But anyway, hope you have some fun with it, and if nothing else, hope you've learned a couple more little tricks to use your wire parameters. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.